Okay, guys, we are back, and we are just saying, okay, guys, okay, people, okay, folks. Um, all right, something else. I'm working on it. So welcome back to our fourth day of class. We kind of had a class introduction, and then we spent some time on Plato, and then we spent some more time on Plato, and now we are ready to move on to our next philosopher. So Plato was in ancient Greece, 2,500 years ago. This next guy is Sir Philip Sidney, who is from around Shakespeare's time, which is about 400 years ago. Also, Shakespeare's place, England. He was somebody who was sort of relatively close to Shakespeare in both time and place. Um, I'm going to jump around a lot in this course. There's not really like there probably should be more of a pattern to it, but I just kind of like to leap from philosophy to philosophy. One of the things you'll notice about me as a teacher, and we'll talk more about this later when we get to philosophers that talk more about this, is I'm not really a history guy. I'm interested in ideas, interesting, influential ideas, but it's not a history lesson. This isn't a history course. I'm not going to be quizzing you on. I'm never going to ask you who was queen or king when Shakespeare's plays were going on or whatever. And I don't. It's not a history course. I'll tell you if something's interesting from history that I think might be interesting today. I'll tell you about it. But it's not a history class. It's a class about ideas, and I like to jump around to whatever idea interests me next, rather than following some kind of geography or chronology. So we will be leaping through time, back and forth all over the place, thinking about different time periods and different kinds of stuff. So with that, we come to our next philosopher, and I hope you've had a chance to look at the website and look around and click some buttons and take a look at your assignments. I imagine from the way I talked about Plato, and when you combine that with the paper one assignment, I hope you can kind of get an idea of what paper one should look like. And actually, there is a sample paper on there too, which will show you what a student of mine did when they wrote about. I have a sample paper on there for a student of mine that turned a paper in and got an A. So I hope that you will find. I hope you can kind of see where this is going, right? The idea is you pick a philosopher, you pick some quotes, you discuss what the quotes mean, you give me some examples to explain what the quotes mean, and then you pick a work of art, you tell me about the work of art, and then you spend some time talking about what do you think Plato would say about the work of art. And based on his theory, what would he think of it? What would he say? What would he like? What would he dislike? Why would he like it? Why would he dislike it? Don't forget, you can talk about the characters in the story, but also talk about the fact that somebody made the story. Why'd they make it that way? Who was watching this thing? What are they getting out of it? And then you can go on to talk about, how much do you agree or disagree with the philosopher? Why? Give me reasons. Give me examples. That's your paper. It's just like that. And I said Plato because you could write about Plato, but you don't have to. You just need to pick. We're going to be going over about 15 philosophers in the course of the semester, and all you got to do is pick one for paper one and pick another one for paper two. And then you're going to pick two things that you like: TV show, movie, book, poem, song. I would recommend, by the way, keeping. I wouldn't write about just like all of The Walking Dead or all of Game of Thrones because that's way too much for a single piece of paper. But if you want to pick like an episode or one character in 4 episodes, or what I mean, just keep it small. You can't talk about the Marvel universe, but if you want to talk about one part of Captain America, go for it. Don't go crazy, because it's only a 5-page. I know a 5-page paper is intimidating to students, but you're not going to say anything smart if you try to write about something super long. So don't do. I know sometimes students, they want to jump on a piece of art that's really big, like all of Breaking Bad. But it's so big you won't be able to say anything smart about it in a 5-page paper. You gotta narrow it down to something specific, like an episode or two. One of my students was like, "Professor, you should watch Naruto," and I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll do that." And then I went to look it up, and there were 1,000 episodes of Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, and I was like, "Should I quit my job? Like, how am I gonna watch all those shows? That's nuts." Okay, cool. So next up, I think we're ready to take a look at in the discussion board. Make sure you go to the discussion board and test some of this stuff out. Test Plato by commenting on the blog, on the discussion board about what, pick a piece of art and just say a couple of sentences about it, just to test out your skills and ask me questions about Plato and make comments about Plato. And there's lots of stuff for you to do on there, so you can go check it out and we'll talk about it. All right, cool. So next up is Sir Philip Sidney. Sir Philip Sidney is a poet from Shakespeare's day, and he wrote a very, very famous piece called The Defense of Poesy. Poesy here is an old-fashioned word meaning poetry. Plato's a little easier to understand, ironically, because he's so far away in time and space that he gets translated, whereas Philip Sidney is basically writing English, but he uses old-fashioned words like posy when he means poetry. That's how a modern-day person would say it. That he can be a little tougher because we're going to read him in the original language. We're not translating him to. I'm not giving you a translation. I'll be translating this into modern-day English for you, and you'll be translating into modern-day English. So, because that's what you do. You took 101. You learn to paraphrase, right? That you quote somebody and then you put the quote in your own words. It's basically a translation. You're translating. This person had an idea and they said it in some words, and when you paraphrase them, you're taking their idea and saying it the way you would say it, while also saying that they came up with the idea, not you. Otherwise, it's plagiarism. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at this thing. Sir Philip Sidney, defensive posing. So this is going to be a little tougher. This is going to take some time. We're going to have to work. I didn't really work with Plato's words last time because we had that video. And so I didn't feel the need to refer to the handout. The video was like pretty easy to wrap your mind around, and I think and actually, honestly, I think the video is better than reading the handout because you got to picture it. It's about architecture. It's like a cave with, this whole setup, and it's very hard to imagine in your mind. It's much easier if you have like a picture or a video or something. But for Sir Philip Sidney, we're going to be looking at the actual words that he uses, and we're gonna take a look at this thing and see what he has to say. So let's take a look at this, Sir Philip Sidney. And obviously, just if I didn't make this crystal clear, yeah, this is under course content. You can download all the philosophers. All the philosophers they give you. I'm only giving you like 2 pages from each. I got 15 philosophers, but 2 pages from each of them, and you can download those from the units. You go under course content, and then there's different units, and each unit, art and reality, art and authors, art and audiences, has all the philosophers in it, and as well as the videos when they're ready. So that should make it a little bit easier for you to handle. All right, let's take a look at this thing. So Sir Philip Sidney, he says, neither let it be deemed too saucy a comparison to balance the highest point of man's wit with the efficacy of nature, but rather give right honor to the heavenly maker of that maker, who, having made man to his own likeness, set him beyond and over all the works of that second nature. Uh-oh. I'm sure you can see the problem. This is not super duper easy to read. It is going to take some time to figure this out. It's not crazy. It's not impossible. You can do it. But one of the things this class is about reading difficult texts. It is time consuming. It is difficult. Students are used to oftentimes getting text messages. And when you read a text message, you read what it says, and then you know what it said, and then you don't look at it again because you got it. It's pretty easy. If your friend wants to meet at 3rd Avenue and 60th Street, then you're like, okay, 3rd Avenue and 60th Street. That's it. Maybe you look at it again to remind yourself, but it's pretty easy to grasp. When students get faced with something like this, they find it difficult to read. Shakespeare, too. They find it difficult. And so they go, this is broken. This is stupid. Words should be easy to understand. This is made of words. It's hard to understand. Something's gone wrong here. This author is terrible. Or those are for high confidence people who are unhappy. Low confidence people who are unhappy will go, they're going to try to read it, and they go, I can't understand this. I must be stupid. Both of these are wrong. There's nothing wrong with the complicated thing. Probably, it depends on what it is, I guess. But there's nothing wrong with Sir Philip Sidney. He's writing. He's a very good writer. One of the best, actually. He's not doing anything wrong. But also, you're not stupid. It's just that this is a work of philosophy, and works of philosophy take time to read. Shakespeare takes time to read. Your instinct is to try to read it quickly, like that newspaper they give you in the morning on the subway, but that's not going to work for this. You got to read it slow. You got to look up words. You got to stop. You got to think. One thing that you could do for this class that would make it much, much easier is get the handouts downloaded and then look up vocabulary words you do not know. And maybe write them if you can print them out. I don't know if you can, but you can keep a list of vocabulary words. It's a very useful thing to do, and it's going to help out a lot when you're kind of trying to figure this stuff out. So it's going to be slow going, but we can handle this. And the first sentence of Sir Philip Sidney we can absolutely handle, and I will talk about that for sure in the next video. All right, cool.